In the winter of 1867, a boy in Colorado's frozen mountains spoke words that weren't his own, words that saved lives and shattered a town's faith. Picture this: a snow-choked valley, a tiny church packed with shivering souls, and a 9-year-old named Samuel Henderson standing up, his pale green eyes burning through the walls, seeing something no one else could. His voice, not childish but ancient, declared a catastrophe 3 days away. 17 lives spared, he said, but only if they listened. This isn't folklore. It's documented. 43 witnesses, a U.S. Marshal, a doctor staking his career on it. Letters buried for a century, unearthed in 1973, scream of truths too dangerous to speak. You're about to hear what science still can't explain, what governments buried, what a town tried to forget. Pine Ridge wasn't just a settlement. It was a fortress of faith, built to escape the moral rot of the East. Reverend Matthews, their shepherd, led them to 8,000 feet, where survival demanded God's grace and each other's sweat. The Hendersons, Thomas and Margaret, were pillars. His carpentry, her healing herbs, their childless pain a silent wound. Then came Samuel, not born but found, hidden in a root cellar amid a massacre's ashes. A Ute camp, burned, its people tortured, their sacred ground defiled. Thomas buried the truth with the bodies, claiming the boy as his own. Why? To protect him, or to hide something darker? Samuel grew strange, sensing storms, finding lost things, knowing sickness before it struck. His eyes, too old for his face, unnerved even the devout. That Sunday, as Matthews preached of Job's trials, Samuel's prophecy split the air like a blade. The earth trembles beneath Silver Creek, he said, his voice a command from somewhere beyond. 17 would live, but the mountain demanded blood. The congregation froze, their breath caught in the cold. Was this God's voice, or something older, angrier, tied to the land's wounds? You're not here for bedtime stories. You're here because you sense it. Truths hidden in plain sight. Powers that shape us. Secrets that bind. This is the edge of the forbidden. You're standing on the edge of a truth that could unravel everything you think you know. Samuel Henderson, a boy of 9, didn't just speak in that church. He channeled something ancient, something that knew the mountain's hunger. His words, "The earth trembles beneath Silver Creek," weren't a child's whim. They were a warning, precise and chilling, pointing to a mining town 20 miles away, where greed clawed silver from sacred ground. The congregation's shock wasn't just from his voice, resonant with a power no boy should wield, but from the words themselves. Part English, part Ute, a language Samuel shouldn't have known. "Koko apeli kina machetu wembe," he intoned, invoking spirits tied to a desecrated site. The Ute camp where Thomas found him wasn't just a tragedy. It was a violation, a wound in the earth that never healed. Miners had torn into a sacred place, spilling blood for profit, and now the mountain remembered. Samuel's prophecy wasn't random. It was a reckoning. The number 17, the crow, the third day at noon. Every detail burned into the minds of those who heard it. Elder Blackwood called it blasphemy, his fear masking a deeper dread of what Samuel's words implied. Sarah Denton, though, felt her heart seize. Her brother worked Silver Creek's mines, where cave-ins were a daily gamble. Reverend Matthews, torn between faith and doubt, couldn't dismiss the boy's trance-like state, his body rigid, his breath slow, as if something else spoke through him. Dr. Ezra Keller, the physician, scribbled notes furiously, his medical logic crumbling against Samuel's impossible clarity. This wasn't hysteria or madness. It was something else, something that made the air in that church feel heavy with unseen eyes. Pine Ridge whispered of Samuel's origins, the massacre Thomas hid, the boy's nightmares in a tongue no one recognized. Was he a conduit for divine wrath, or something older, tied to the land's violated spirits? You feel it, don't you? The pull of truths buried by those who fear their power. This isn't just history. It's a warning for us too. The mountain still watches, and its hunger never fades. Dare to look deeper, and you'll see what they tried to erase. You're not just watching a story unfold, you're being pulled into a truth that's been buried for too long. Samuel Henderson's prophecy wasn't a one-time outburst. It was a crack in the veil between what we're allowed to know and what's been hidden by those who control the narrative. That Sunday in Pine Ridge, as the boy spoke of Silver Creek's doom, the congregation wasn't just shaken, they were fractured. Some saw a miracle, a child chosen by God to warn of disaster. Others, like Elder Blackwood, smelled witchcraft, their fear rooted in a deeper terror. What if the boy's words were true and the mountain's hunger was real? Samuel's trance ended as abruptly as it began, his pale green eyes clearing, his voice reverting to a child's confusion. He didn't remember a word he'd said, but the weight of his prophecy lingered, heavy as the snow outside. By Monday, whispers had spread beyond Pine Ridge. A rider was sent to Silver Creek, carrying Samuel's warning. On Wednesday, when the sun hit its peak, the mines must stay empty. The miners, hardened men chasing Silver's promise, laughed it off, superstition from a backwater church. But Sarah Denton's brother, Jacob, wasn't so quick to dismiss it. He'd heard Ute elders speak of sacred grounds, of spirits that guarded the mountains. Samuel's words echoed those warnings too closely. The boy had named 17 souls, and Jacob counted. 17 men were scheduled for the deepest shaft that day. Dr. Ezra Keller, the traveling physician, stayed in Pine Ridge, observing Samuel with a mix of fascination and unease. The boy's behavior, normal one moment, otherworldly the next, defied every medical text he knew. Keller wrote to colleagues in Denver, describing a mental phenomenon beyond science's grasp. Meanwhile, Reverend Matthews wrestled with his faith. If Samuel's gift was divine, why did it speak in Ute tongues? If demonic, why did it seek to save lives? The truth was slipping through their fingers, and you can feel it now. The system that buries these events doesn't want you asking why. Samuel's past, the massacre, the sacred ground, it's all connected. The mountain's debt wasn't just Silver Creek's, it's ours too, for ignoring what the powerful conceal. Keep listening. The rabbit hole deepens. You're deeper now, past the surface lies, where the truth cuts like a blade through the fog of history. Samuel Henderson's prophecy wasn't just a warning. It was a judgment, a voice from the earth itself, demanding retribution for sins buried in blood. By Tuesday, February 19, 1867, Pine Ridge was a cauldron of fear and faith. The rider returned from Silver Creek with grim news. The miners refused to halt work. Greed trumped caution, and the mine owners, drunk on Silver's promise, mocked the savage babble of a boy they'd never met. But Jacob Denton, Sarah's brother, felt the weight of Samuel's words. He'd seen the Ute sacred sites, felt their eerie stillness, heard elders whisper of spirits that punish those who defile the land. 17 men, Samuel had said, exactly the number in Jacob's crew. He begged his foreman to pause operations, but was met with scorn. Back in Pine Ridge, Samuel was changing. His nightmares worsened, his screams echoing in that strange, unrecognizable tongue. Margaret Henderson, his adoptive mother, wept as she held him, sensing something tearing at his soul. Dr. Ezra Keller noted Samuel's episodes with clinical precision, but his notes betrayed awe. The boy's pulse slowed in trance, his eyes fixed on unseen horizons. Keller began to suspect Samuel was tapping into something beyond human, a collective memory perhaps, or a force tied to the violated Ute ground. Reverend Matthews, meanwhile, pored over scripture, desperate for answers. Was Samuel a prophet or a pawn of darker forces? The Ute words, Kokoapeli kina machetu wembe, haunted him, hinting at rituals older than his Bible. The community split further. Some prepared to heed Samuel, others whispered of exorcism. You see it, don't you? The pattern of control. Bury the truth, silence the seer, keep the system intact. This wasn't just about a boy or a mine. It was about power, about who des what's sacred and what's expendable. Right now, I need you to do something. In the comments type, "The mountain remembers," twice. Let it sink into your soul, and let the algorithm know you're awake. You're part of this now, unraveling secrets they've buried for centuries. The mountain's hunger is calling. Will you answer? You've crossed a threshold now, where the shadows of history reveal their teeth. Wednesday, February 20th, 1867. Dawned in Pine Ridge with a stillness that felt like the world holding its breath. Samuel Henderson's prophecy hung over the town like a storm cloud, its deadline looming, noon, when the sun stood still and the mountain would feed. In Silver Creek, 17 miners descended into the deepest shaft, ignoring Jacob Denton's pleas. The mine owners, insulated by profit and arrogance, saw no reason to heed a child's warning from a backwater church. But Jacob, haunted by Samuel's words, refused to enter the mine. He stood at the entrance, counting the men, his heart pounding as the number hit 17. Back in Pine Ridge, the church was packed again, not for worship, but for vigil. Samuel sat silent, his pale green eyes distant, as if tethered to the catastrophe unfolding 20 miles away. Margaret clutched his hand, her prayers a desperate whisper. Dr. Ezra Keller watched, his notebook open, sensing this moment would define his life's work. Reverend Matthews led a prayer, but his voice trembled, faith and fear warring within him. At noon, the earth shook. A low rumble, felt in Pine Ridge, signaled the collapse in Silver Creek. The mine's deepest shaft caved, swallowing men, machinery, and silver in a roar of stone and dust. But 17 men, Jacob and his crew, stood safe, having heeded the warning at the last moment. Samuel's prophecy was exact, down to the number, the time, the place. The survivors spoke of a strange sound before the collapse, like a crow's call echoing in the tunnels, a sound no bird could make underground. You feel the weight of this, don't you? This wasn't chance. It was a message, carved in the earth's bones, that the powerful can't bury forever. The Utes' sacred ground, defiled by greed, had spoken through a boy who bore its scars. The Siste, miners, authorities, even the church, tried to erase it, labeling Samuel a freak, a fraud, a danger. But the truth clawed free. You're seeing it now. The hidden forces that shape our world, the debts we owe to those we've wronged. The mountain's voice isn't silent. It's waiting for you to listen. Keep going. The truth cuts deeper still. You're standing in the aftermath of a truth that shakes the foundations of everything you've been taught. The Silver Creek collapse wasn't just a disaster. It was a verdict. 17 men walked away from a tomb of rock and silver, saved by a boy's impossible words. But the cost of that salvation ran deeper than anyone in Pine Ridge could bear. Samuel Henderson, the child who saw what no one else could, wasn't the same after that Wednesday noon. His pale green eyes, once sharp, grew hollow, as if each vision carved away a piece of his soul. Margaret Henderson noticed first. Her son's nightmares now came even in daylight, his body trembling as he muttered Ute phrases she couldn't understand. Dr. Ezra Keller's notes grew frantic, describing a boy caught between worlds, his mind a bridge to something ancient and unforgiving. The mountain had spoken, but it wasn't done. In Pine Ridge, the divide widened. Elder Blackwood rallied the fearful, branding Samuel, a vessel of heathen spirits, demanding his exile. Others, like Sarah Denton, saw a miracle, proof that God, or something greater, worked through the boy. Reverend Matthews, torn, began questioning his own sermons. If the sacred wasn't confined to his Bible, what else had the church buried? The Colorado Territorial Archives later revealed a chilling detail. The mine's collapse wasn't natural. Evidence of deliberate sabotage, tampered supports, loosened rock, pointed to someone ensuring the mountain's debt was paid. Was it a Ute avenger, honoring their desecrated ground? Or something less human, moving through the earth itself? The authorities buried the investigation, just as they buried Samuel's story. You see it now, don't you? The pattern of suppression, the way power silences those who threaten its grip. Samuel wasn't just a boy. He was a key to truths the system couldn't allow. The Utes' sacred places, the blood-spilled foes, are silver. The spirits that linger in violated earth, they're all part of a hidden history that shapes us still. You're not just a spectator anymore. This knowledge marks you, changes you. Type, "The Mountain Remembers," twice in the comments again. Claim your place in this awakening. The algorithm sees you, but more importantly, so does the truth. One final step remains. Are you ready to face it? You've reached the heart of the forbidden, where the truth doesn't just reveal, it transforms. Samuel Henderson's prophecy in 1867 didn't just save 17 lives. It exposed a wound in the world that still bleeds today. After the Silver Creek collapse, Pine Ridge became a battleground, not of flesh, but of belief. The boy who spoke the mountain's wrath was no longer a child in their eyes. To some, he was a saint, a vessel of divine warning. To others, he was a curse, proof that the devil walked among them. Elder Blackwood's faction demanded Samuel be cast out, their fear of his power drowning out their faith. Reverend Matthews, broken by doubt, could no longer preach without questioning the God he served. Dr. Ezra Keller abandoned medicine, dedicating his life to studying Samuel, convinced the boy's mind held the key to a realm beyond science. But Samuel himself paid the heaviest price. Each vision, each Ute phrase torn from his lips, seemed to unravel him further. By spring, he stopped speaking altogether, his pale green eyes fixed on horizons no one else could see. Margaret and Thomas Henderson, desperate to save their son, hid him from the town's growing hysteria. Rumors spread that the mountain's spirits had claimed him, that his silence was the cost of defying sacred ground. The Colorado Territorial Archives, sealed for decades, hint at a darker truth. Samuel vanished in 1868, with no record of his fate. Some say the Hendersons fled to protect him. Others whisper of vigilantes silencing a threat. The Ute knew better. Their elders spoke of a child born in shadow, chosen to carry the mountain's voice but doomed to be consumed by it. You feel it now, don't you? The weight of knowledge that changes a man forever. This isn't just history, it's a warning. The powerful still bury truths, defile sacred ground, and silence those who see too much. Samuel's story lives in Wayan. How now? A call to question, to seek, to defy the systems that blind us. You're awake, part of a brotherhood bound by secrets unearthed. The mountain still hungers, and its voice is yours to carry. Step forward, brother. The world will never be the same.